is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin podcast. Jack, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I'm good. How about yourself?
I am doing well. So, if you're looking at the title, that's what we're talking about today, and a couple other things that actually came down the pipe this week. But first, we got a couple things to do. Sandstorm is not going to be able to make the podcast tonight, and he wanted me to pass along some information. So, if you guys have been following Sandstorm, he had a I guess it was a raffle going on, and there is a winner for the $30 eShop gift card, and that winner goes to Dark Spartan. So once again, that winner is Dark Spartan. He said that he will be putting that on Twitter, so they'll be able to see that, whoever that individual is. So yeah, Dark Spartan, congratulations, you are the winner of Sandstorm's raffle.
Did he say what they were winning?
Just a $30 eShop card.
Okay, sure, I'll take that.
Yeah, so yeah, there is that. Now, before we get into the podcast tonight, I didn't want to have to do this, but we do need to have a little bit of
house rules.
House rules, basically. Here's the thing. I am very thankful and grateful to everybody that comes and comments and is in the chat, and I do really appreciate you guys. But understand one very important thing. I am really easy to get along with. If you want to reach out to me and talk to me, if you feel like you need to talk to me privately, you can do so in a number of ways. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can either hit me up on Discord if you need to. What's up, Andre? And he's silent. So
sorry, I accidentally muted at the same time I was
no problem. Talk. But what we don't need to do is don't ever tell me what to do with my podcast. I really don't appreciate that. That's a quick way to get on my bad side.
Yep.
I don't mind criticism. That's not what this is. But if you feel the need to tell me how to run my podcast and who I need to have on and not on my podcast, that's a quick way to get on my bad side real quick, and I will address you.
Right.
You're probably not gonna like it if I address you. The thing is, everybody that's on my podcast, that's on this podcast, and Andre and Jack, you all know, we don't have nobody on here that we have not vetted, or we have not talked to, or we have not worked with before. We don't just go get random people and put them on our podcast. That's not how this works. You know, so anytime we have a guest here, we have them here because we want them to come here.
Right.
You know, if for some reason you have a issue with that person, okay, that has nothing to do with us.
Right.
So once again, I am very thankful for all of you, but please understand and don't cross that boundary with me. Just don't do it. If you have an issue with somebody, take it up with that individual. Don't take it up with me. And don't tell me how to run my podcast, and don't tell me who I can and can't have on here.
Right.
Just don't do it. Once again, I'm thankful for all of you, but please don't cross that line with me. So that's all I wanted to let you guys know. So let's get back to the hilarity, people. All right. So do y'all want to go Digital Foundry or what?
Yeah, let's do that.
Y'all can handle that one first because I already did what I wanted.
Oh yeah, you did, but you're gonna have to you're gonna have to say something.
Yep.
have to say something.
But I'll let you go first though. That's
okay. So our good friends at Digital Foundry, I love those guys. You know, they're so great.
Hold on, Digital Foundry just attacked Jack.
Yeah, they did.
Yes, they did.
They got tired of you not being at 60 frames a second. You're at 29. You're at 29, and they don't like that. Okay, so they put out a statement basically saying that Breath of the Wild may be too big for Switch.
So loose with it too.
Hey, I'm sitting there like, wait a minute. How do you know that, Digital Foundry? Are you working on the game? No. So IGN sees that and they run with it.
You know it.
And of course, they ran with it. So I'm sitting here. At this point, I'm laughing because it's hilarious to me. I'm laughing at this point I am having a good time. This is funny because how in the world do they even know they're not working on the game? So I'm thinking to myself, either this is a clickbait article, or it's a slow news day, or it's a combination of the two.
I'd say it's option C.
Yeah. So I'm just I laughed and I chuckled from a good healthy place. I did not expect IGN to run with it though. I didn't. But all this does is like try to get the whole the Switch Pro situation. I am so sick and tired of hearing about Switch Pro. Nintendo already said like, look, man, we're gonna be supporting the Switch for a while, and there's a reason why they're saying that. We're still in the middle of a chip shortage. That hadn't went nowhere. And most industry insiders in the tech industry, that the industry I actually work in for my real job, they're saying that we might not be out of this till fall of 2023 at the earliest, especially with the global shipping problems that's happening as well on top of the whole chip shortage itself. So when you factor all that in, there is no way in the world that this should even be happening if you're paying attention to stuff. Like if you are an outlet like IGN, I don't see why you would even comment on this, because you should already know that A, we're in that chip shortage, and B, you should already know that, hey, this may not be something to write about because we're not even out of that yet. PlayStation and Microsoft are still having issues getting their stuff out.
Right.
So, Jack, you want to give your thoughts on it? Because I thought it was funny.
Well, so the first thing I'll start off with is, if you haven't been to IGN's website lately, go to the website, and this whole thing will make more sense. And the reason why I say that, this is a perfect connection. IGN is grasping for straws. You remember when the first time like you went into GameStop and you start seeing like all the Funko Pop stuff everywhere, and it just didn't look like GameStop anymore.
Yep.
And you found out like, yo, GameStop don't really make money like that off of games. They have to go to used games to get money, and they're really sinking. IGN seems to be on that same path. So if you have anything that's remotely popular, like a Digital Foundry, that comes and gives any type of subtle hint, you're going to take that and just run with it just so you can have a top store. And we know IGN does this. They do it all the time, and then they always try to like excuse it what we heard, or what if, or maybe. Like, they never go like full on detail like this is what we think. But I mean, we know they don't know anything. Nintendo stopped dealing with IGN a long time ago. So at the end of the day, to me, it's just them grasping on straws. And when the game does come out on the Switch, they'll say, okay, well, that's just what we heard. But if it doesn't, then they'll say, see, I told you it was too big, even though we know it'll be a cross-gen situation anyway, even if that was the case.
Well, here's the other thing, too. I don't even think that's the game that's going to be the cross-gen game. I think it's going to be Metroid Prime 4.
I believe that, too. I'm just saying, like, we had more than one. So I feel like Zelda will be not the star of the show, but will definitely be there along with it.
Yeah, or at the very least get a port, because I still think it's coming out next year. I really think Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out next year.
Oh, it's pulling The Last of Us for sure.
Yeah,
it's gonna come out next year, and then it's gonna re-release again on the new one. Now, I don't think it's gonna be a situation to where they give you a whole nother game. I think the new Switch will be backwards compat, and then whenever you play it on this new Switch, it's gonna have bumped up specs or bumped up whatever. So I mean, it still works for you either way. But if you want to play it better, it will be similar to the whole Hyrule Warrior situation with the new 3DS versus the regular 3DS. Now, it may not run as shitty on the 3DS like it did like for the Switch, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, I get that. So, Andre.
Cognitive deficiency. That is the politically correct phrase of the day.
Hey,
but they just, I would sit there and like, so you're just going to try to get everybody to think that, hey, they're showing you footage of a game on new hardware that they haven't said anything about at all.
Other than that, they're not doing anything, and they're supporting the Switch for at least 2 more years, I think it was.
Yeah,
that was earlier this year, actually.
Yeah.
That's at the beginning of the year. They said it was going to be at least for 2 more years. So, yeah. Because normally, because this is their 5th year, so normally they would be gearing up for whatever the successor is. Normally.
Yep.
Right.
Normally. Well, I'm just like, we've heard this multiple times. Like, Pokemon Legends Arceus had the same issue.
Yep.
Hell, the Pokemon game before that had this issue. It's just like you guys are repeating the same stuff over and over again, knowing that you're just being stupid at this point.
Right.
So
that's true. I mean,
they need to put it in. Just stick a fork in it. It's done. Drop this argument.
Yeah.
Right. To me, that whole thing just doesn't make any sense. I mean, because okay, let's say it's too big. Then what is that big of a difference between this one and Breath of the Wild? Because if
they're
I'm
running the
same engine. So do you think they've added that much to this game to where it's just way too big? As if Breath of the Wild was this big 60 some odd gigabyte game.
Which is, I think, when it's all said and done, I think it was is it 19 or 20?
Yeah, if you might count the DLC too.
Counting the DLC, everything.
Yeah,
I think it was like at 19. Because when it came out, it was 12.
Yeah, it wasn't huge at all.
Yeah. And once again, now that's huge for Nintendo.
Right.
But even with Nintendo, you're like, dude, that's not anything.
And then
hell, Mortal Kombat 11 is at 44.
And then even to play the devil's advocate, right? We all know what state Breath of the Wild released in. There were certain areas like the Deku Tree that ran pretty poorly. But then Nintendo came out a little bit after that, updated it, and it ran a little bit smoother. I'm not going to say that it ran perfect because it still has its hiccups. Yeah. But let's just say, for IGN's sake, that they added all this stuff and now the whole game runs like the Deku Tree. I don't think Nintendo's going to continue to release that game or like try to put out that they're going to release this game if it's at that state. If they've been this transparent with us thus far, then why not? I mean, it's not like Nintendo needs to rely on a Breath of the Wild 2 release. It's skyrocketing. Like that system, it has not stopped. Pandemic, shortage, nothing has stopped that system. If anything, it slowed it down from getting to the destination it was already going to get to. So there's no reason for them to string people along.
No, that's one of the things I would say. Like Nintendo's been upfront with people. People just don't want to. They just don't want to believe it.
Right, and that's the problem. They don't want to believe it because we were supposed to have the game this year.
Yeah,
and that's what people now they got to start figuring out why. But didn't they tell us because of all the delays from the last one? Not only because they wanted to do the Switch thing, but they found a new system. Well, not necessarily a new system, but something else they wanted to add into the game, which ended up paying off as into why people are finding new ways to play that game now.
Well, the other thing too is remember it was supposed to be a DLC.
Yeah.
This whole Breath of the Wild 2 thing was supposed to be a DLC, and Aonuma and the team came up with something else, it's story-wise, and they were like, we got to make this a new game. We can't just leave this as DLC. We got to make this a whole game.
Maybe that's the too big.
Well, I guess. But
maybe that's the too big.
But I was just sitting there thinking, I'm just like, okay, why would you even say that when one is the same engine? They're not changing engines.
They didn't change engines.
Like, you're not finna get some 4K 5,000 frames a second realistic graphics and shaders. No, you're getting a cell shaded game, bro.
And it looks great. Cell shade, I think cell shaded has to be one of the main art styles that just is timeless.
Well, it works, but to me it works, especially for fantasy games because of the fantasy element. I'm not trying to. I don't need realism in my fantasy. For me, now for me, I'm not talking about nobody else, but for me,
right?
I don't need super hyper realistic realism.
Yeah,
I don't need that. I just want, my I like my cell shade so it'll be more believable. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, Wind Waker still holds up. Even the GameCube version, not the Wind Waker HD from Wii U is actually they did a great job with that, all things considered. But I'm talking about the GameCube version still holds up. The GameCube version of Twilight Princess does not hold up.
No, not at all.
Let that sink in.
Now look at a game like 13 on the GameCube.
Yeah,
that still holds up.
Yep.
So I mean, cell shaded is just a great art style. Like you said, it doesn't go into hyper realism. It's not too cartoony. It's a perfect fit. I mean, I'm pretty sure it wasn't cell shaded, but what was it? The Spider-Man movie, Miles Morales movie. It kind of gave off that cell shaded type vibe to it.
They were playing around with so many different art styles in that movie.
frame rates, like
Yeah.
all that. They were playing around with a lot of that, but it worked and is going to be timeless. It's never going to look like a old, outdated movie.
Nope, it won't. And I think that's what you get when you have like. I think that's why game design is way more important than people give it credit for being. And yeah, you can have this hyper realistic $500 million game, and then you still wondering why people jumping off.
Yep.
Ask Avengers.
They had a lot more problems than just being realistic.
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, but then you see a game like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Switch exclusive, Cell Shade, and it did over what they expected it to do. I think it's at 2 million. They didn't even expect that thing to hit 1 million.
All that game had to do for me was just fix the camera and multiplayer, and it would have been perfect.
Yeah, but even with that, it's way better than Avengers.
Trust me, I know. when you give me a game for free and I pick to go and buy a game and play that game, yeah, that's when you know that game is trash.
Yeah.
My kids don't even play it, and that's the perfect game for kids, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
but my kids don't even fool with that game.
And that's why I kind of felt bad for Guardians of the Galaxy, because I'm like, I've heard nothing but good things about Guardians of the Galaxy, but I'm like, I'm not jumping down that hole again, that rabbit hole again.
I got it pretty cheap on Black Friday. And then it's also on Game Pass, I think.
Yeah, it is on Game Pass.
Yeah.
I need to download it so I can give it a shot. But I just haven't done it yet. Man, people, if you're young, enjoy your youth.
Enjoy
hate being an adult.
Enjoy it, man.
Being an adult is for the birds.
Getting a hobby and sticking to that hobby is more of a job than you actually doing your job in real life.
Yeah.
Because you got to keep your sanity about you, because otherwise you get wrapped into this 9-to-5 crap, man.
Yeah, J2, we he has to make his grand appearance, so hopefully
you already know
a little bit.
Whenever, if you see some smoke come up on the screen, he just poof, and then shadow just pops up. Yeah, that's what he do.
And we'll circle back around to it once he comes on J2. So
yeah,
let me know. Just remind me if when he comes back on, I'll make sure to get back to him. So with that being said, the remaster thing, because I got into a little bit of a discussion with somebody who tried my patience, and so my question is this: so for HD remasters, do you guys think that it's better to have HD remasters that have a plan that goes into another thing that's coming down the pipe, or just cash grab? And what I mean is this: so Nintendo released Skyward Sword HD. But we know that plays into Breath of the Wild too. They also released Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. When you look at Xenoblade Chronicles 3, it plays into that. So do you think that is the best way to do HD remasters, or do you think they should go or do you think the best way is I hate to be like this, but this is the only example I can think of, Last of Us route, where it came out on PS3 and then 6 months later it was out on PS4. Talking about definitive, what was it? Definitive edition, I think it was. Yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, something crazy like that. That's clearly a cash grab.
So, and like you said, for example's sake, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to come off sound like a fanboy, but Nintendo's doing it the right way. If you have to think about when these games last came out, or if they have or when was the last time you had the latest game. So in this case, if you think about Zelda, yeah, you have Breath of the Wild, but playing Skyward Sword and playing Breath of the Wild, they have absolutely nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
But then if you look at the previews from Breath of the Wild 2, for sure, these two have some similarities to them. So why not? You know what I'm saying? Time into each other. It's the same idea that the same concept they've been going with when it came down to Bayonetta. The idea looked like it was to be, hey, drop Bayonetta 1 and 2 together, and then let's gear them up for Bayonetta 3. Because the story, what I'm assuming, will all tie into one another. They'll weave into one another. But if you're just dropping a game just for nothing, to me, that doesn't make any sense, because eventually, like we saw with Tony Hawk, Tony Hawk's remaster was one of the fastest selling Tony Hawk games, and there's no follow-up to it. So now you're just leaving people with the want to play that series. So you're leaving people high and dry at that point, because there's no way they can go back and play a good Tony Hawk game in an easy way. You can't go back and play 3. You can't go back and play Underground. You can't do that right
that's
now.
True. That is true.
So to me, don't do that. It was kind of similar to when people were talking about Def Jam, when they lied and said if we got to 1 million, we'll tell you something about Def Jam's fighting game or whatever,
Yeah.
and it never came to fruition. Let's say that game was really going to come out. If they could have gone and gotten licensed, because a lot of those rappers are still living for the most part, and re-released Fight for New York, then that would have been a great shoe-in for whatever this other one was. Don't release the one that came out on the 360 because that was trash. But release the best one remastered and then give us the brand new one. But I don't understand dropping a remaster just for the sake of dropping a remaster. That doesn't add up to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Hi, Vicky. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Hi, Debo.
Yeah. It just the conversation that I got into kind of irked me because the individual was talking about they shouldn't have did Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. They should have redid Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I'm like,
why?
I love Xenoblade Chronicles X, but I'm like, dude, that game was made for that system because it used that system's features. Whether you like it or not, it was made for the Wii U and that gamepad. The gamepad is essential. You can. Yeah, if you say there's a way to emulate and hotkey stuff, but the problem with that game is you'd have to start and stop a lot, especially in the beginning when you're setting up all the stuff from the map. It's just you're gonna want a second screen. I don't know why people have a problem with that, but my thing is, I'm like, if there was a way for them to do it and make it seamless, I'm pretty sure they would have done it.
Yeah.
But they're not going to do it if there's no way to make it seamless and make the game seamless, run seamless. Not. And if it was so good and you liked it so much, you would have bought it on the system that it came on.
Or still be playing it now on the system that it came out on. But I mean, it's the same thing. Wind Waker came out on GameCube, right?
Yeah.
The Wii U made it better.
Yeah.
No one in their right mind is going to sit here and say, "Oh, I want a Switch, a Wind Waker Switch," because you know what comes along with that.
Yep.
It's going to be the Wii U version without the gamepad.
Yep.
So now there's a lot more pausing again.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go back and switch out the items all over again, or either they're going to have to rework that game, and that's not what you want.
Especially if you came from the Wii U, you're not going to want it.
You're not going to want it.
You know how many times I be sitting up playing games and like wish I could just click over and just do my map like this and still be playing.
I'm telling you, like that. I mean, and that the Wii is scary because I think damn near every episode the Wii U comes up with us. And I was watching another podcast the other day, and the Wii U came up. So
it's trends every month. It's been trending every month for the last year and a half. Year and a half.
Yeah,
it's been trending every month. It was trending last week.
Yeah, and to me, last week. And to me, we know once a war is over for that generation, then the systems get their props.
Yeah.
Like we see it all the time. Like, for example, the Dreamcast.
Yeah, that was the biggest offender.
People dogged them out.
Yeah.
But then later, we want a Dreamcast too because the Dreamcast had great games.
Or we want all their games. And my best example was Grandia 2 comes out on Dreamcast. Dreamcast dies. They port it to PS2. You tell me which game played better.
Right.
I'll wait.
Exactly. So with the Wii U, I don't even think it's in that same boat as the Dreamcast was. I think Wii U is now in that situation where people are like, you know what? We got shafted at Switch. Like, they took stuff away. And we complained about one thing. And Nintendo was like, you know what? All right, then I'm going to wipe the whole damn slate and give you this one thing. And then that's what you ended up with. In reality, you could have had an awesome system in the Wii U. Does the name suck? Yes. Did the marketing suck? Yes. But at the end of the day, it was a great system.
Well, the other thing that I know, me and Andre, we've said this millions of times. Dude, the Switch is the biggest FU to the gaming industry I've ever seen in my life.
Huge.
Like, okay, y'all dogged this system out and said that we ain't know. Now, everything you complain about and say you wanted was in that system. So now, not only did we show you that your hypocrisy is ridiculous, y'all don't even have good long-term memory.
No, not at all. We all know that for sure. We all know that.
Straight goldfish.
You got people who basically did nothing but go on straight hate campaigns talking about it needs to go third party in its second year. to now saying, "Oh, we were never against it. We wanted to see the Wii U succeed." No, you didn't,
No,
because
you
all
didn't.
your videos sit, and then all of a sudden your videos magically disappear.
Just
Mhm.
they just disappear like Houdini whisked them away with the magic wand.
Yeah,
And,
I mean,
and some of these companies, they ain't around no more, game trailers. And you know, I'm just
Yeah.
saying, Rev 3, I'm just saying.
When Rev 3 went, Adam Sessler should have went with it.
He did. They just hired him for G4.
That's my problem.
That's everybody's problem. But yeah, that being said, I'm like, it's funny to me because if I'm sitting on Nintendo's board in Tokyo, I'm like, see, look
Told
like
you
we
they
were
all
right in
dumb.
the end.
Told you they were stupid.
Yeah, look like we were right in the end.
But I do want to disagree with Jack on one point.
what's that?
Nintendo didn't shaft anybody; they shafted themselves.
I agree with you. I've been corrected. Yes, I agree. I've been corrected.
I will say this. I will give one caveat to those people that did. Hey, Nintendo did not do a good job with the marketing of the Wii U.
Oh, they most definitely didn't.
No, not at all.
But at
I
the same
can't blame
time,
anybody on the advertising.
But
Not
at the
even
same
close.
time, we do live in the information age.
We do.
This idea that nobody knew what it was that's complete and utter BS, and you know it.
Yeah.
Especially the gaming websites and gaming journalists
That got to see it a full year before everyone else.
Yeah, y'all got to see it in 2011, and you were all praising it in 2011. Then in 2012, right after they have that talk with EA, and EA gets pissed off, magically now it's the world's worst system. I'm like, wait a minute. So yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. At this point, to me, like I said, with these remasters, I get it. You know, I feel like they're always supposed to be put in place for a temperature check, but they're not used that way. Because if anything, you know, we always talk about franchises that we would like to see come back, and that would be a good temperature check. Like, hey, let's go and remaster Conquer and see if people really mess with Conquer like that. Let's go out and do something with Banjo, or let's do something with Siphon Filter or anything like that, just to see if people really go and touch it. Let's pick the highest selling version, remaster it.
GX,
right? Remaster.
And let's see how many of y'all really want that game.
They will not touch that. They will not touch that at all.
Because to me, I think instead of asking the crowd via Twitter or whatever on if you would like it or not, take that bet. Take that bet and say, okay, let's see. Put your money where your mouth is. We'll drop the port of the best seller we have, and we'll let you know about it. We'll take some advice here and there and modernize it if it needs to be, and we'll drop it. And let's see what you do with it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, if it was strictly about cash grabs, they would have already released Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on Switch.
Exactly.
Yeah. They would have done that
Too
already.
easy. Too easy.
The mere fact that they haven't, the mere fact that they haven't suggests to me that they're probably not gonna do it unless, especially last year when it was the 35th anniversary. I just knew they were gonna do it then. Nope, they didn't. You still got your 3DS.
To be honest, I mean all Zelda games, if it's a cash grab situation, they all would have been re-released right now. Even like the GBA games,
GBA titles,
yeah.
Well,
like
I did hear a strange rumor about that.
About the Oracle games,
that they were getting the Link's Awakening treatment.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
I don't know what came of that though. I don't know what came of that though.
Might have just been a rumor.
Yeah, because from what I understand, the Link's Awakening style was done as a test to see if people would gravitate to it.
All right.
I thought it looked great personally. I thought it looked great. I thought it ran well too. Even though Link's Awakening ain't my favorite, I do love that soundtrack though. Koji Kondo's the man. Can we all agree that Koji Kondo done made some fire stuff, man. He's one of my favorite game composers. Period. Him and Uematsu from Square Enix.
Right,
bruh.
I was like, look, there may be a bad Final Fantasy game, but there's never a bad Final Fantasy soundtrack.
Yeah. Case in point, Final Fantasy 15.
I feel like Sonic's the same way.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Sonic, there's no bad Sonic soundtracks. Like I was watching somebody do a speed run the other day, and I'm like, every last one of these songs is a bop. Like I just like it was every last one.
Even the filler games, the side games like Sonic and the Secret Rings and Black Knight. Black Knight soundtrack go hard.
That is crazy. Like
I'm like, why ain't nobody remix? Why ain't no hip hop artist remix this yet?
I'll find a way.
Like why?
Give me 2 days.
So like some of them tracks in Sonic and the Black Knight, I'm like, this would sound fire with Outkast. It would sound fire with T.I. This would sound fire with Drake. This would sound fire with, like, I'm just sitting here.
Don't give it to Drake.
Don't give it to Drake, but yeah, he still take it though.
He'll take it. Because I thought it was just me, but then somebody else actually agreed. He has a song with the Donkey Kong beat into it.
Yeah.
I forget what the level is.
You know, I would love to see, like, because remember what was like 2014 when Koji Kondo came and did the intro to one of Imagine Dragons song at the Game Awards.
Yeah.
On piano, perfectly.
Yep. I'm
like, bruh. Koji Kondo, when you gonna do your album, your hip hop rock, and when you gonna do that?
It's possible, man. It's possible. Anything's possible.
Koji's greatest hits.
I know. Right. I'm like, bro, come on, man. Because I'm sitting there looking. I'm like, man, that was probably the best part of the show that year. Was that, and it was at the end because it was for Breath of the Wild. It was for Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's either 20. That was 2015. That had to be 2015. Yeah. It was 2015. So yeah, I'm like, man. All right, so you know what? We did get a couple trailers this week, and we're gonna show one right now, and because Jack has not seen it. So,
which one is it?
Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen it either.
So here's my problem. Nintendo, I'm gonna need y'all to chill out with this whole pre-order situation because you're hurting my pockets right now.
And this was to go back to what you said earlier. Being an adult sucks.
I know. Like, this is some straight up BS. But
look,
we're gonna check this trailer out.
They just dipping their hands in your wallet like Steam used to. That's all.
Yeah, that's why I had to get away from Steam. I'm like, no,
I had to get away from Steam bad.
The devil is alive. So
Steam was the worst.
Oh, so you just got your tax return right, huh? Spring sale. What?
Yeah, that was nuts. Spring sale, and then it was always games that I couldn't buy back in the day because this PC is still available, and it's only like $6. I'm like, why?
You wound up buying 30 games, not realizing it because all you saw was $6.99, $7.99,
right. Exactly,
$4.99. Like, you evil geniuses. So, all right, Fire Emblem Warriors, 3 Hopes. Here we go.
Just to put it out there, I hope people notice it said game footage, not final, like Nintendo always does.
Clearly, this is too big for the Switch. Clearly.
Right.
Clearly, this is too big.
It's just one Merc. You clearly need every blade you can find, and my pockets have been feeling awfully light lately. What do you say? I need to get stronger if I'm going to do what I need to. Here it comes!
I'll be counting on you as always in the battles to come.
Let us walk forward on this path and see where it takes us.
Everyone, sharpen your blades and prepare for the battles ahead.
We are here to fight by your side, Your Majesty, and so we shall, now and always. I love how you can bump into someone in the woods one night and suddenly you're living under the same
That's
roof.
my guy right there.
Now that's what a battle-hardened mercenary should sound like. Maybe I'll just let you handle all the hacky, splashy stuff. All this bloodshed. Will it never come to an end?
got my back? There! Careful! Let's link up. Yeah, good to go. We'll do it together! This world cries out for change, while you keep it shackled to the past.
We can finally avenge all of those who have fallen.
Am I gonna be next?
You were the cog that was missing from the turn wheel. The one final push that urged me to act.
Trust me, no regrets here.
I'm the closest ally you have. Remember, we're partners in destiny.
Gonna be one hell of a fight, especially if the Ashen Demon is here. Don't like a smidge of what I've heard about that fella. Or was it a woman?
Smash Brothers. Okay, so Jack, since you did not see it, and Andre, you haven't seen it, I'm gonna get you guys' thoughts first.
You can go ahead, Andre.
All right. Well, something tells me that the whole Ashen Demon thing is a misdirect because you're probably playing with a protagonist who's misguided and thinks that the character that was the good guy in the game that you were playing, that obviously before with Three Houses, got misguided by that demon-looking character that they're working with.
Right.
Because it's a misdirect, and people will probably like. And I remember seeing some people post about, well, if Byleth is the bad guy for this, I'm like, you're just assuming.
Right.
Like, y'all know Nintendo like to throw in surprise plot twists and stuff like that for y'all. Because you're going to think that they the bad guy, and then it's going to turn out, you find out the truth, and then you're going to end up working with them. That's why they become playable.
Can I say something though? That beginning of that trailer when she looked like she was about to cut his head off.
Oh
like,
yeah,
bro.
that was
like
just
what?
straight up like, sorry, I got to rid the world of your existence.
Right.
Like, you're not inspiring a whole lot of hope for me thinking you're a good guy. All right, Jack.
But if you didn't play it, I'd understand that.
Right, exactly. I mean, this would be kind of confusing, but I'm pretty sure they'll do some type of recap. But I agree.
So they did in the other Fire Emblem Warriors game.
Yeah, they did. So I mean, I agree with Andre on everything. My idea of the game is not necessarily like the story or anything like that. I feel like that will be executed in a great way. It's just what we always talk about is how it runs. Like the pacing of the game, how it runs as far as the frame rate. Like if they still running with this engine to where it drops pretty bad in some of the heavy situations. That's kind of my main thing. Like I have Fire Emblem, Fire Emblem Warriors. So I have that, and it runs great until it gets to certain situations. But nonetheless, if you're into those Musou type games, then it's right up your alley again. It's just, with the Fire Emblem, not necessarily skin, but they always find a way to add more into those games. And that's what's always interesting to me, even when you talk about Zelda. They don't just say, okay, here's Musou or Dynasty Warriors just with Zelda characters or with Fire Emblem characters. They always have the story tied around it. They always have the missions and the fighting styles, and they always go in depth with those games. So I'm always interested. Like I said, I enjoyed Warriors. I didn't get a chance to play Age of Calamity, but I definitely will end up picking up this because I love Three Houses. Like Three Houses was my game.
Okay, so I didn't play Three Houses, so but I did read up on the lore of it because I found the lore of Fire Emblem fascinating.
It's very interesting.
It's very, especially starting with like what happened to Marth. When you see what happened to Marth, you're like, bruh, I'm surprised he ain't go nuts and kill everybody on some guts from Berserker. Like, dude, I'm surprised he didn't. When you find out what happened to Roy, like, bruh, Roy should have went. He should have just like murked all them dudes. So like the lore of the series itself and how each story goes, I'm like, dude, this is some. That's why I keep saying, like, if they ever wanted to animate something, they already got the story for this.
It's perfect.
And your seasons can be the different characters. You can do the one for Marth. You can do the one for Roy. You can do the one for Ike. You can do the one for Corin. You can.
That's actually a great idea. Like doing it because you got to play through all Three Houses to understand anyway.
Yeah.
So just have the seasons for each house. Like, okay,
Yeah.
from this standpoint,
Yeah.
because it's not like it's like, oh, I know what's going to happen. Even when you play through the houses, it always changes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you think that's what they're gonna do in this? Because playing through Age of Calamity, I enjoyed what they did with it, even though spoiler alert for a 2-year-old game. It is one giant what if.
Yeah.
It's one giant what if.
Yeah.
So they did a good job of showing you they get you right to the point of the deaths of the champions, and then that's when they do the big twist in the actual game. But I thought it was interesting just showing all of that and then doing what they did. And I understand why they did it. I just didn't like it because I wish they just would have said this is what happened.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have said this is what happened instead of doing what they did. Don't get me wrong, I don't mind what they did.
Right.
It's just from a story standpoint, it's just one of those situations where I'm like, it was going so good because it was shown, especially if you read through the diaries in Breath of the Wild, then you would know right when they got to the point where they got to, like, what was happening. So I'm wondering, do you think they're going to do something like this since the Three Houses and the DLC for Three Houses is already out?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be another what if situation. Honestly, I don't see a reason why it wouldn't be. Because I mean, it worked well with Age of Calamity, like you said, and it gives you the ability to just kind of flirt around with different ideas. And I think that's the key thing. You want to leave yourself open to make changes if necessary, but then know that it's out there, so it's already solidified. So people tell you, okay, that's a great storyline, but then if they say, okay, well, where's the next game gonna go? You can just wing it because you don't have to stay tied to it.
True, that's true. So Trinell, you in the house with Dimitri then? Ain't that his name, Dimitri?
Yeah.
The Dimitri, Claude, and I can't remember the girl name.
Aragard, yeah.
Yeah. So
yeah, me and Aragard had some battles because I went with Claude. Yeah, me and Aragard like that's man.
Okay, so all right, so you've played it. So what is, because everybody seems to like Claude's house. Okay, so what's the deal with Claude then?
So first of all, I like Claude's style. And then also it came into like the naming of the different houses or whatever. But the one key thing that I liked about Claude was just kind of his setup. It kind of made things, I wouldn't say easier, but it made it easier to have like a balanced team when it came down to using Claude. When you looking at like the other two, I think what was that? Erica? Well, the female, I think she is, if I remember correctly, she's not. Is she? I forget what in the world she is. I want to say she uses a sword or one of the two. But at least with Claude, you can put him on that horse with the bow and arrow, and he's nasty with the bow and arrow. Like that was big for a lot of our fights. Because even with me, with Blythe, spoiler alert, he goes, Ultra Instinct, like towards the end of the game, once when he gets that power. Yes, his sword is amazing. Like it can do a lot of damage, but then if you getting jumped, then it doesn't really make any difference when you start getting into those further levels to where that sword don't really mean anything if you have to get around a wall or anything like that. Claude on that horse with that bow and arrow, he can jump 55 feet across the board and then take that bow and arrow, just poof, 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 and just keep letting off on your whole team. So Claude with that bow and arrow is just disgusting. Like, that's why I tell people, like, because you're going to use Blythe regardless, but then having that person as your side member, and then of course there's a certain point up until a certain time frame in the game that you can't recruit anymore. So you got all from the beginning all the way up until that certain point to get everybody you're going to get on your team and recruit them. But having Claude as like the main leader, that bow and arrow is just unbeatable. And then Eldegard uses axe, and then Dimitri uses a lance. Yep.
Okay.
Because that bow is nasty.
Andre, who did you roll with?
I mean, I haven't played it, but if I was going to pick, I'd have been with Claude. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm telling you, just bow and arrows is ridiculous.
It ain't even that. It was just I remember when it was first introduced, and you got to see each character's demeanor.
Yeah.
And his is more like mine, and I'm like, I don't like, because Eldegard is more high strung.
Yep.
And Lance is like the Mr. Perfection, and Claude is like just laid back. Let's whatever. Let's just do it.
Right. Because I mean, you go in the way of Claude, like Eldegarde, she's like on some demonic stuff
Oh
towards
yeah,
the
she
end.
most definitely is.
Like she's crazy. Like she took out Dimitri. Like it was getting crazy towards the end. So I mean, I was all in with Claude, but initially when they was talking about the names of the schools or the houses, I was like, oh, I'm going Claude all day.
Okay. All right. So because like I said, I got this game pre-ordered, so yeah, I'm gonna play it. I like the Muso games when they're not doing Dynasty Warriors. I like it when they're doing like the One Piece. I love One Piece Pirate Warriors. That game is crazy. I love it. So
They coming
I
up with
like
another Dynasty Warriors, right?
yeah, they are coming with another one. I like the series, but I don't like the series.
I don't know what it's gonna do.
Because here's the thing, and everybody that complains about the system, I understand because it's true. They need to do something about that game.
They
engine.
really do. Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, and then maybe it's just me and my bias of anime and them doing the type of games I like with the characters I like. When they do the Zelda and when they do Hyrule Warriors and when they do One Piece and even the Gundam game they did, I think it plays better, and that's maybe playing into my mind frame and bias. That's probably what it is.
Well, it could be that, but it could also be because they're taking certain parts out of their engine to put things in the game that are reminiscent of the IP that they're using. Because Hyrule Warriors does not play exactly like Fire Emblem Warriors, and that doesn't play just like Dynasty Warriors. I mean, you're saying the same basic fighting system is the same, but there's always elements from the
there.
Yeah, there's always other elements from the IP that they bring into it that adds to the flair of the game, but that also means that they got to cut back on certain things, and that might actually just improve the gameplay.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. I understand that it's mostly due to that game engine why a lot of the issues they have, but I'm personally waiting for Metroid Warriors and Star Fox Warriors first.
Speaking of which,
you got to think in 4D levels, bro. You got to be worried about Mushroom Kingdom Warriors.
Yeah, Mushroom Kingdom Warriors.
Now, I mean, while you're joking, do you think that has something to do with the whole Bandai Namco thing with Nintendo? As far as Star Fox,
I actually made a video for that one.
Well, actually,
so that means it's true. Then I got to watch it. All right,
probably.
So let me go watch that then.
Here's the thing: that whole situation, and guys, if you don't know, apparently it's been reported that something is getting remastered from Nintendo by Bandai, and the top 3 that I've seen, Animal Crossing Warriors, F-Zero Warriors, I would play F-Zero Warriors.
F-Zero Warriors would actually be fun because then you have all of the individual characters. A lot of people don't realize that most of those characters are cutthroat outside of those machines.
Cutthroat crazy. So yeah, I would play the hell out of F-Zero Warriors.
Oh, I've been playing with Samurai Gora the whole way through.
But give Captain Falcon all his Smash Bros. Moves. But yeah, so it's been rumored that it's either going to be Star Fox Assault, Kid Icarus Uprising, or what's the other one? It's one more that they're thinking is going to be the one that gets remade. It's supposed to be a remake.
It just needs to be Star Fox Assault. Yeah, that's what it needs to be.
Yeah, I would say that too. But can I be real with y'all for a second?
What's that?
I'm kind of more partial to Star Fox Adventures on Dinosaur Planet. I'm just
that too.
Yeah,
I'm with it too.
I'm more because apparently Nintendo still has the license for that. So
Nintendo has a license for everything.
they can still do it. They can still do that one because I actually like that game. The only thing I didn't like about Adventures on Dinosaur Planet was I didn't like the flight missions between the different places. I didn't like that because I felt like it was just. I felt like it was just there.
They were trying to keep it tied because they knew people were going to complain.
Yeah, so I that's the only thing I didn't like. I'm like, if you're gonna do a full on true flight missions. But
yeah,
that's why I would love to see them do a full on 3D style land and
air
game. Yeah,
but that's what Star Fox should be. Like to me, I never understood. Well, I understood it
Well,
because you look
not
at it
open
from
world, but open world ish.
no.
Yeah.
I rather have corridors.
Yeah, I'll do open
Ish.
world ish.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, so like if you're talking about, hey, look, we're doing fights and like we're doing air fights on land and then sometime in space, cool. And then like the levels are like Odyssey type ordeal. Okay, I'm with it. Like or even like actual from point A to point B. I'm with it. I just don't. You don't need to be open world. No, I mean I never liked Star Fox as just the ships.
Yeah.
I like the aspect of land and air. I think that expands it so much more.
You know what? Kid Icarus did it right in Uprising. They had
sure
the
did.
parts in the air, and then they had stuff on the ground. I would do it like that. Baten Katos, that would actually be dope if they did that.
You think a lot of people gonna mess with it?
Good
because I went back and replayed it, and I didn't know.
First one was fire
because I heard so many people talking about it. So when I actually first heard of that game, it was already $110, $120. But
you had to buy it at launch when
right.
it came out. Yeah.
So when I played it on, I think it was emulator at the time. I think I played on Dolphin, and I didn't know it was card based. Yeah. So that threw me off completely. Like I had no idea.
That was one of the first card-based games I actually liked.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's one of the first ones I actually liked. That's why if they were gonna do a remaster, I thought it would probably been best if they did it on the Wii U because you had the gamepad, you can actually do it that way.
Okay.
I don't know why nobody did that, but
I don't know. That's interesting.
But I'm like, if Trinell, you're right, because the first Baten Katos that game was great.
Right.
Now I didn't play the second one, so I don't know how the second one is, but I know the first one was.
I don't ever hear nobody talk about the second one though.
Yeah, because they had another one come out. I want to say like 2 years after the first one.
Okay.
But yeah, the reason because that was one of those games where the GameCube was pretty much sold what it was going to sell.
Yeah, and
they there's another system had great games, and the next thing you know, you have people is the Wii's come out, and now everything's $300 to get the game.
Yeah. Like I think the only game I played that's card based but yet battle style that I didn't say battle style, but the card based games that had like attacks and things of that nature that I really cared for was the Dragon Ball Legend of the Super Saiyans. Like that's the only game I've really played that I care for like that. But if you're talking card based, Hearthstone was actually pretty good. It was actually pretty popular for a while, but then Hearthstone just kind of fell off the face of the earth. But yeah, I mean, I would love to try to get into it because running it on Dolphin, it didn't run all that great anyway. And then plus the look of it didn't age well either. So I would love to see it remastered.
But Jack, emulation is where it's at.
Okay.
You can play it in 120 frames per second in 16K.
I tell people this right now. Emulation and playing on emulators, that honeymoon lasts about a week. After about a week, you stop dealing with it. It just sits on your computer, and you never go back to it. Like I promise you, I had what was it? SmackDown, WWF SmackDown. Shut your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Played it all night. Didn't go back to it. It's just I don't know. It's a good little itch, but it's like nah.
It can't keep.
It can't keep up. At least for me.
And I kind of figured that. I mean, come on, man. Like, you kind of have to figure that at some point
because it's a lot of work to get. Because honestly, like, and I hate to keep going on this, but for the PlayStation 2 emulator, right? I had Shut Your Mouth, Def Jam Fight for New York, and then I had I think Streets Volume 2, right? Each one of those games required different settings for them to run decent, not properly, decent. So that meant that I had to go in there and change the settings for each one of those every time I wanted to play them. That is annoying. Like, it's not like you can save the settings as like, okay, well, I want this to stay like this. The only thing you can save is like the controller layout, but you can't. No, it becomes a pain. And that's where the plug and play action of a system comes into play. So if you're going to bring those type of games back, I'd rather go and give you another $50-$60 for that game than me waste my doggone time with that emulator.
Trying to figure it out and trying to get it just so we can play properly. But you let other people tell you it's the best way to play everything.
And they full of crap too.
All right, whatever.
Full of crap. Ain't no way.
So last thing I want to talk about before we get out of here tonight. So I don't know if you guys and everybody in chat, y'all can chime in with which ones y'all would like to see too. I was in Target the other day, and I came across the Arcade 1-Up stuff again, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, why wasn't there another Simpsons arcade game? Why don't these come to like somebody's shop? So somebody
Disney.
has those licenses. If Arcade 1-Up can get it, right?
Like Disney does.
Yeah. So why don't because if I have that license, that X-Men game, arcade game, that Simpsons arcade game, Altered Beast, Afterburner, all of that is getting ported to everybody's digital store, and I'm getting money off this.
I think we would have seen a Simpson because I was asking for the Simpsons 1 2 and not need like 4 players.
Yeah.
Like so I'm thinking the Simpsons 1 2, but to me, that beast of Disney, I think they're looking at ways to do that themselves. If they're even looking at it. I don't think they're gonna ever give that to 1-Up. I don't
I mean, the 1-Up already has it out.
They do.
I already seen one with it. That's what I'm saying. Somebody has that license, so we know it. It's not a situation in which, because a couple months back, Phil Spencer came out, and I'm thankful he did say this, but he came out and was like, "Look, man, a lot of this stuff that we have, the reason why we don't have it is because it's hard to find the licenses for a lot of these games,
which is weird."
So they had to. That's why they're at a point with their backward compatibility for Xbox where they've had to stop.
Well, Walmart. Okay, so Walmart does have it. Okay.
Yeah. So when I was walking around, I'm sitting there, I'm like, hold on. So somebody had the license to so they could actually do the arcade 1-Up for like X-Men and Simpsons. So that means somebody has that license, which means it can be found.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm thinking, especially with the Cowabunga collection coming with those games on it. I'm like, okay, so can all of these come?
And that's the scary part, and this kind of ties into music too, because I don't have a lot of knowledge as far as gaming license, but even when you look at it from like a music aspect, they're kind of one and the same.
Okay.
You can say for example, you want to sample something. If you're like on the low tier and don't nobody know you can use it. It's fine. No one's gonna care. But if you're like on a Drake level or something like that, you have to get that clear. And 9 times out of 10, it's owned by like some Korean dude that nobody knows who he is. So you got to run it down, and then you have to get the agreements, and then you have to pay for it, or either you could just choose to get sued and just pay him the difference. But the problem, and that's where I feel like the problem with licensing and utilizing certain things just becomes ugly. Because if you're saying like for a game, right? We look at The Simpsons. I don't know who made it in the past, right? But you look at who holds it now, which I'm assuming Disney does in some shape, form, or fashion.
Probably does. They probably do.
So even with that, it's like if I'm trying to do something with it, I'm not trying to deface it. I'm just literally just trying to remake it the way that it was before. Why is that such a freaking hassle for me to do that? Like, and I'm not saying that this was, but there has to be some type of barrier to where we're not seeing a lot of these, because I feel like Arcade 1-Up would have went on a freaking run spree with this by now, and they have a lot out. But I feel like they don't have everything.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff that we was playing in the 80s and 90s on the arcade scene that they don't have. They got like some of the top stuff.
Yeah,
some of it, but
some of
not.
But the problem, but see, the thing is, if it wasn't selling, then I feel like they would have stopped. But obviously, enough people are buying it to where it's working for them.
Yeah,
and I don't believe these other companies, because there's other companies that do this. Where you think about like the Pandora boxes, they do it to some extent, but not to this detail to where it's just a one cabinet thing. They do it as in like, hey, here's 5,500 games across every platform, and you just use the arcade stick for all of them, and then we'll also toss in the Xbox controller for you to do it. But those run into the thousands, and they're huge, to where this can at least fit in your home.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it just because, like, I missed that X-Men arcade game, because that X-Men arcade game was fun. We had Wolverine, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Colossus, Storm. I like that game.
Yeah.
I also wish Capcom would stop fronting and let us get X-Men Mutant Apocalypse. But that being said,
what's up with X-Men anyway?
Right now, I don't know who has the gaming license, because it used to be Activision. Activision had it. First Raven had it.
Okay.
No. First Konami had it. Then Raven had it.
Right.
Software had it. That's when we got X-Men Legends 1 and 2, which was awesome.
Okay.
Then I think Activision acquired Raven,
Okay.
and Activision had it, and then they put out that sorry excuse for an X-Men game called Destiny, and we ain't heard nothing from them since.
Yeah, that is a hot mess.
Yeah. Where I'm sitting there like, you put this out and you thought it was gonna sell, you deserve not to make no money on this. So
like, how you gonna be the first bad X-Men game?
The first one.
Yeah. I mean, I hate Wolverine's Adamantium Rage. X-Men Destiny was worse than that, and Adamantium Rage was broken.
Wow.
It was broken, but it wasn't bad. It was just broken in a way that made everything extremely easy but weird at the same time.
Yeah.
But
it had a good soundtrack though.
At least it had a decent explanation of events leading up to the movie.
Yeah.
Even though it still contradicted some of the stuff they said in the first movie, but still, okay.
We ain't gonna go there.
Wow.
You know how I feel about them Fox X-Men movies. But yeah, I think right now the reason why we haven't gotten the X-Men game in a while is because they're waiting to see what Disney do with it, with this whole MCU thing. Because once they come out, and once Fantastic Four comes out, we'll probably get the Fantastic Four game. I know we're gonna get an X-Men game because X-Men is still way popular on the Marvel side of things. Like
that's what I feel. Like I feel like they're the top of Marvel.
Most times they are.
Yeah.
Because outside of like the movies, like for the longest time, I would probably say for probably about a good 20, 25 years, X-Men was saving Marvel.
Yeah.
It wasn't Avengers. It was X-Men. Now, Avengers got fired because of Marvel Studios being able to use them because they didn't have a choice. You think if they had access to the X-Men, they would have used Avengers first? No, they would have used X-Men.
Use X-Men first.
They wouldn't even use Avengers. But they had to use what they had access to.
Right.
And the thing about it is Kevin Feige actually had a plan, and it just blew up into this massive thing. And now we're reaping the benefit of that. So I'm thinking Disney probably has, because Disney has in the past said that they are bringing back their game studio.
Okay.
I don't know how true that is.
Right.
But if they are, I do not see them not capitalizing on making their own Avengers, their own especially X-Men.
And it wasn't a bad studio either. Like it really wasn't.
Yeah,
so,
that's why I don't understand why they got rid of it to begin with.
Well, it was definitely money because even though they were making good games that were highly rated, they weren't selling.
Right, true. Because even like I think about Epic Mickey all the time, and that game got slept on a lot. Like Epic Mickey 1 and 2.
I love the first one.
I like the first and the second one.
The second one was okay. It's just not as good as the first one.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And that's because they made it multi-platform instead of just sticking with what they had already done. Let them focus on one console so you can fine-tune the controls like they did with the first game. Nope, we got to put it on the platform.
Yep. That screwed it all the way up. So, yeah. Oh, boy. But yeah, that first Epic Mickey game, I enjoyed the fire out of it. That was a fun game.
It's an amazing game for the
Wii. Yeah. So that's one of those things where it's like it plays better here. It's not going to play good everywhere. Okay, all right. And now we get to see. All right, PlayStation, Sony fans, PC fans, No More Heroes 3 is coming.
They ain't gonna buy it.
I love this game. Y'all better buy it. I love this. I love Travis Touchdown. He's one of my favorite game characters.
Microsoft, Sony, and PC. Y'all
put your money where your mouth is.
They're not gonna buy it. We know this.
Hey, look, hey, Sony and Xbox fans, if you pick it up, I promise you'll be able to play it in 16K and 385,000 frames a second.
That ain't gonna matter. It's not exclusive. Because isn't that the same argument that like Nintendo gamers got? They only buy exclusives. Yeah. That's Sony.
The funny thing about it is, all I've seen about the No More Heroes 3 thing is people saying, "Yeah, good. Y'all need to go buy it." when Sony has a game that goes multi-plat, people get mad. I'm like, why are you mad? You already bought it. It's not like you're not going to be able to play. What are you?
They got to be able to win this war. Okay?
I was like, geez.
This is a nasty war. They got to be able to win it.
I think everybody should be able to play Travis Touchdown because he is a fool. And I'm sorry, y'all gonna love the end of No More Heroes 3, especially if you're a Smash Bros. Fan, because let's just say Certified One, you out there, bro, and we love you for it. You out there, bro, we love you for it. So I shudder at the thought of him making a Smash Bros. Game.
No, like I said before, when I made that video years ago, I said I would love to see him, Kamiya, and Sakurai get to working together because they all know each other.
Right.
Get them all working together on the game and see how it turned out.
They all hang out. They've hung out before. They've hung out before, which you would think you would not see them hanging out.
Right.
And when you see it, you're like, y'all hang out. Then you realize Sakurai's a massive troll too. So you're like, and Sakurai's sneaky with it. Especially if you watch that watch a couple of them the Smash Bros. Video where he's pretty much flipping off everybody. I was doing hexadecimal.
Like, he literally had no reason to do that binary counting. He had no reason to do it.
Exactly what he was doing. Oh man, I love Sakurai.
It was the only way he could flip everyone off. Where it wouldn't work.
And I still laugh about that to this day. I'm like, dude, you are Sakurai is a national treasure. That he is. All right, so we hit the hour mark. We're a little bit over, so we're gonna stop it here tonight. I hope you guys all had a nice time. Thank you, everybody in the chat, for joining. We do appreciate it. Andre, anything you want to pimp out?
Nothing all that important. I mean, there was a couple of videos. I did Ream, IGN, and Digital Foundry this week. If anybody wants to listen to that, I know Trinell mentioned the chat. I also released a video yesterday about which I'm pretty sure is going to be coming, Dragon Age Legendary Edition, because they're working on Dragon Age 4. And since they did the same thing because they announced Mass Effect 4, it only makes sense that they would do it for Dragon Age.
Right.
So we'll see if that happens. And then this week coming, I have the next Cross Zone video, which is going to cross the Blue Bomber with somebody else. But I'm not telling everybody who it is. You'll just have to find out on Saturday. That's it.
All right, cool. Jack.
As always, like, subscribe, comment for the channel. Definitely follow all of us on Twitter, on YouTube, especially Andre. I think this is the hardest worker on the cast. That man got a video out every 2 seconds, right? Like he got these things on schedule mode, but definitely do that. And then if you're into hip hop at all, I finally finished the music I was talking about on the last show. So I just submitted it. What was it? Yesterday. So it's supposed to release on May 3rd for my birthday. So this would be my third album. So definitely, if you're into hip hop at all, then this would be a very interesting one. It's just me as an artist, and then also I'll always have characters too. So it's always like a diverse way to hear more than just me. So it's like, okay, I have like a multitude of characters that I voice and I play also within the music too. So it'd be something interesting to look forward to if you're interested in that type of music, of course.
All right, cool. This morning did a review for Halo episode. What episode we on? Halo episode 4 and Moon Knight episode 3 with Vicky. We did a review on that this morning on Fresh Take, so please check that out when you have a chance. Had a couple of playthroughs, some live streams yesterday. Did Wind Waker and Nintendo Land a little bit because I was a little bored last night. So check those out as well. Gonna try to get close to like making a schedule so I can do the live streams a little bit more on schedule now. So once I get that set up, I will let you guys know. Other than that, we'll be back here Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we will see you guys then. Have a lovely rest of the evening here. If you're morning time, have a awesome day as well. We'll catch you later. Peace.
Peace.